This is Kenneth Coleman. I'll be presenting a slideshow on male peer support theory for sociology class Deviance 3335 at the University of Houston Clear Lake. The presenting book for the class is Theo's Deviant Behavior, the 13th edition by Jim Taylor and Martin Schwartz, covering male peer support theory in Chapter 5. Male peer support theory. What is male peer support theory? It is a theory about the link between men's peer relations and violence against women. It focuses on how social network can support abusive and violence against women. The theory argues that one of the most powerful influences on male aggression towards women is the emotional and practical support they receive from their peers. Male peer support, or MPS theory, developed by Walter S. DeCursity and Martin D. Schwartz in 1988. The theory highlights certain all-male peer groups that can encourage abusing women. Some of these groups can include college fraternities, players on athletic teams, gangs. The theory suggests that abusing women is a learned behavior from their peers. It also seems to objectify women. Women are sexual objects. The theory also suggests that male family members can have a position that can have a learned behavior over the person to create dominance over women. Studies also added that alcohol may be a leading excuse for these sexual assault behaviors. The college campus. What are some of the main components of the male peer support theory in a college setting? Homosocial bonding, which is male groups such as fraternities or athletic teams can create an environment where sexual aggression against women is a way to gain status or acceptance from their peers. Second, legitimization of violence. Peers can rationalize and minimize the severity of the sexual assault or even blame the victim or justify the coercion. Thirdly, contextual factors. Peer support excuses the sexual assault and can become because of high consumption of alcohol and objectifying women, which is common at the college parties. Sexual assault on a college campus. Researchers have identified a number of variables that influence sexual assault on college campuses, including peer influence. Also, according to sexual assault literature, more than 25% of victims of sexual assault report their offender was a fraternity member. 25%. Quarter of the cases, the offender was a member of a fraternity. The literature also showed that many times the victim and offender were intoxicated. So let's talk about fraternities. The first fraternity, Pi Beta Kappa, was formed in 1776 to encourage brotherhood and professionalism. So what has changed? Since the inception of fraternities, they have changed the original purpose into binge drinking, partying, objectifying women. There's also little to no law enforcement or oversight at these parties that promote sometimes underage drinking. The parties often encourage women to dress less than modest, let's say, and sometimes very provocative. Fubert et al. Found that fraternity members were 3 times more likely to engage in sexual assault than non-fraternal members. 3 times. That is a very high number. So let's consider some of these deviant examples that recorded and reported at these college campuses. Yale University. Delta Kappa Epsilon chapter were out chanting, "No means yes. Yes means anal." They were chanting this outside of the women's dormitory on October 13, 2010. 2014, as another example, members of the Tau Kappa Epsilon chapter at the University of Wisconsin were under investigation for creating color-coded date rape systems and passing them out. Pretty deviant behavior. This isn't just a problem with college male fraternities, gangs, or even athletic teams. It is the group secrecy within the male groups. Silence is one of those most common ways to perpetuate and legitimize individual rapes and gang rapes. Groups secrecy tells violent men that when you have group secrecy, it tells violent men that their actions are not wrong. Desserti, 1990. According to Merton in 1985, public silence also teaches men that no matter how sleazy your actions are, there is always a fraternity to hide the sexual assault. So, how do we encourage men to stop this behavior and help fight against systemic violence and sexual assault of women? One way, we can have open and honest conversations about what is acceptable with women. Two, we can self-evaluate and strive to not contribute to a culture of disrespect. Three, we can take personal responsibility and intervene and stop a perpetrator in the act by trying to create physical space between the victim or comfortable enough, defend and assist in removing that person from the action. Four, become an ally with others in the fight against harassment. And five, team up with allies in eradicating sexual harassment. How do we support and help women to recover from sexual assault and rape by these type of men? We can believe and validate what happened to them, by listening to the survivor and assuring them it wasn't their fault. Respect autonomy, allowing the survivor to dictate their pace of recovery. Let them heal in their own time. Try to avoid fixing. Be supportive, calm, and be present during their healing process, but don't try to fix them. And lastly, avoid victim blaming. Don't ask questions that imply fault. Let them open up to you in their own time. I bring up this case because I think it was a setback for actual victims of sexual assault and rape. Because there was a woman in this particular case with the Duke lacrosse team in 2006 where she lied and said she was raped and assaulted by these three men. It leaves open a door for instance, defense attorneys to use this case to say to an actual victim, were you really raped? Were you really assaulted? Is it something you're lying about? So I thought this case was important to at least bring attention to it. So Crystal Mangum falsely accused three Duke players of rape in 2006. She later admitted she lied about the allegations and asked all three for their forgiveness. She is quoted as saying, "I testified falsely against them by saying they raped me when they didn't, and that was wrong. And I betrayed the trust of a lot of other people who believed in me." She said in the interview, "I made up a story that wasn't true because I wanted validation from people and not from God." My personal conclusion to the male support theory and all the theories regarding why men sexually assault and rape women is that I'm not sure that any theory can explain it. People are evil and do evil things without reason. Deviant and immoral men will associate with other deviant and immoral men. And in this situation, we call them groups. We are to resist negative peer pressure by avoiding the path of the wicked. Proverbs 4:14 and 15. Resist negative peer pressure. This was written thousands of years ago, and it still applies today. We are also warned that bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15-33. We are asked to resist conformity to the world, choosing courageous and righteous companionship. What that means is who you hang out with tells a lot about who you are. We are advised against following the crowd, doing wrong, and to avoid the enticement of sinners. So, we must hold all evil and deviant men accountable for sexual assaulting and raping women. And we need to encourage men to be good men and protect our women.